What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming, and today we are talking about the Sound Blaster X7. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the specs, then I'm going to do an unboxing. From there, we'll go to the review portion. I'll let you know about my experience with it, and then we'll go to High Ground Gaming's final score. Stick around. The Sound Blaster X7 is a 127 decibel USB DAC with a 600 amp audio amplifier and a proprietary 24-bit audio processor with 5.1 Dolby Digital decoding. It has both a 1/4 inch and a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. It has dual mics. It has NFC and Bluetooth 4.1 for wireless connectivity, and it is both Xbox One and PS4 compatible, officially. Unofficially, I've taken a look at some forums and found some people that said it's also PS5 compatible. I couldn't find any mention of the Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S, so you might want to look into that a little more before you commit to buying it for one of those. Without further ado, let's get into the unboxing. Oh. Okay, right up front, we've got the headphone rack. I remember this. So this just sort of plugs into the DAC. And then it looks like we've got the DAC right on top there. Let's get that out. Flip it and then just sort of shake it out. Oh, got another box in there. All right, we'll get to that in a second. I want to go ahead and open up the actual DAC first. Let's get rid of foam. Get that off there. Okay. It looks pretty nice. Got the black, a little bit of gold accents. Up front, we've got a microphone jack, a 1/4 inch headphone jack, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, power, Dolby Digital, SBX, volume knob. Up top, we've got speaker wires. We've got the impedance here, 4 ohms or 8 ohms, AV, right, left, rear sub, and then this is a line in, right and left. We've got optical in, out, and then we've got the micro USB. Now this is exciting. The optical in and optical out is something that I'm actually really interested in because I'm going to try plugging my TV to the in, and then the out is gonna go to my surround sound, and I'm gonna see if plugging my surround sound into this enhances the way it sounds. I might even try out attaching a couple of extra speakers to it and see how that goes. All right, let's see what's in the box here. Okay, we've got instructions. We've got a whole slew of power cords, all different countries here. None of these are mine. Hold on. That could be a US one, or nope, here we go. There we go. Good old United States. I'll go ahead and save the rest of these. We've got the brick. Then we've got USB to micro USB for that back port there. Coaxial to jack. So that's the coaxial to the female jack, and this looks to be a coaxial to a male jack. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. And that's it. That's what we got in the box. I'm gonna go ahead and take this and play with it a little bit. Stick around for the review. So now I've had the Sound Blaster for a couple weeks and I have some stuff to say about it. First off, I want to talk about the build quality. It is made of a plastic housing. Now, it doesn't look like plastic from the outside. It has this nice matte black sheen with these gold accents and the chrome dial, but it does feel like plastic when you're holding it. It's very light. It does not feel hyper sturdy, but it's all right. It looks good. It also takes up a pretty big footprint on your desk, as you can see, especially with all the cables coming out at the back and everything. But it isn't too terrible, and it looks nice, which is important if it's going to be taking up a big amount of real estate on your desk. So that's pretty good. Next up, I want to talk about the software. The Sound Blaster X7 does have a control software, but it was kind of hard to find. There's a link in the manual which goes to soundblaster.com/X7/software. That's a dead link. That doesn't go anywhere. So I had to do some Googling, and that took me to Creative's support page. From there, I found the X7 page on their support page, and from there, I found some software, firmware, and applications. But on that page, it showed 3 Sound Blaster X7 for Mac softwares, a couple for Android, and some firmware updates. I couldn't find anything for PC, which clearly I use a PC, so that wasn't really helpful for me. I did some more Googling, and I found a version of the software from 2015, which I downloaded and didn't work. And then I ended up going back to that support page, and in teeny tiny letters at the very bottom, there was like a see more button or something like that. And then it showed you the complete list of software, and you scroll down that a little bit, and there is the Windows one. So that was a little frustrating, but I did find it. And once I found it, it downloaded onto my PC really quickly, and it worked great. You do need that software in order to use it with your PC. It is not plug and play. But once I had it, it worked great, and it was really easy to navigate. The software has a few different features. It has SBX Pro Studio, which is its way of controlling surround sound. It has Crystal Voice, which is its mic control. And that has things like noise reduction and stuff like that, but it also has a couple of fun filters like alien voice, emo voice, orc voice, robot voice, stuff like that. And the next one is probably the biggest selling point for this for gamers. This has a feature called Scout Mode. Now, Scout Mode allows you to hear your enemies from further away. So it isolates noises like footsteps and stuff like that in games like Valorant, Apex Legends, CSGO, Call of Duty, and you're going to hear those enemies coming from further away, which gives you a little more time to prepare, which is a very distinct advantage in games like that. It's actually a little bit cheatsy, not going to lie, but I guess if you buy this, use it at your discretion. It also has speakers, which is how you're going to input the placement of your speakers and volume control and stuff like that. So no matter where you set your speakers, they're going to be a good equilibrium from you. There's also headphones control, cinematic control, mixer for just adjusting the individual volume of every speaker, and EQ, equalizer. All of those are very useful features, and it really makes the range of what you can use this for as a part of your PC setup very diverse. It's really, really cool in that regard. The app is, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't tell you if the app is good or not. I downloaded it from the Apple App Store onto my iPhone. It told me that I needed to connect it to the Sound Blaster X7 via Bluetooth. I did that. My phone found the Sound Blaster no problem, and they synced up. Then I opened the app again, and it kept saying, can't find the device, can't find the device. I tried uninstalling the app, reinstalling it, desyncing my phone from it on Bluetooth, resyncing it. I've tried it multiple times, and then I went onto the App Store and looked at the reviews. This app has a 1.9 out of 5, and if you look at the individual reviews, there's a lot of people like me who simply couldn't get it to work. It couldn't recognize the Sound Blaster on their phone. So that's problematic. I would recommend, if you already have this, to reach out to Creative and see if there's something they can do to help you. I didn't have time to do that before this review, but that's definitely problematic, especially if you want to use this as part of your entertainment center out in your living room. Because on your PC, you don't have to use the phone app, you can just use the app on the computer. But on your television, you can't get the app on your TV, so you're kind of stuck with the phone app, which may or may not work. So that's a gamble. I tested it on my PC. I played some Valorant. I definitely tried it with the scout mode turned on, and it was immediately apparent that the footsteps were much louder and could be heard from much farther away. That didn't really help me much because I suck at Valorant, but I could definitely see how somebody who's actually decent at this game, that would be a very significant competitive advantage. It's probably the biggest selling point for this for use as a gaming DAC. I also tested some music on it. I first hooked up the speakers just directly to my motherboard, listened to a couple of songs, then I routed it through the Sound Blaster X7, same speakers, and yes, significantly different. There was a lot more range to the sound, and each individual instrument was much more isolated. I could hear it all much more clearly. Vocals as well were much crisper sounding, and it was just all in all a better audio experience. Full disclosure, I do not have a nice set of audiophile grade cans. I had to make do with my HyperX Cloud 2s. Now, I know if there's any audiophiles watching this video, they physically cringed when I said that, but even with these, just plugging them in, I noticed a significant difference from having them plugged directly into the motherboard. The same as using the speakers. Everything was crisper, everything was more isolated, and just generally cleaner. There was also a big boost in bass and the general volume of each individual piece. Hooking up to my entertainment center, I had not the best results. I have a 5.1 surround sound setup hooked up into a sound bar. So when I attached the Sound Blaster X7 to my soundbar, there wasn't a significant improvement because there's already a processor in the soundbar. So it went through a processor in the X7, then it went through another processor in the soundbar, and then it came out again, and the signal was more or less the same. It didn't get amplified very much. I also tried a third experiment where I hooked up to passive speakers directly to the Sound Blaster, and I used the optical in and out to connect the Sound Blasters and the surround sound soundbar to my television. And that at first sounded really, really good because it added all this extra dimension to the sound. But then I tried watching some television and I noticed there was a slight misstep in timing. Because the signal had to go through that second processor in the soundbar, it was ever so slightly behind the signal coming through the bookshelf. So there was a little bit of an echo to the voices, and it just didn't work out. Admittedly, that is not what this is for. That was just an experiment that I wanted to do to see if I can do it. I'm just warning you ahead of time that if you're thinking of doing the same thing, this isn't a great solution for that. I tried a little experiment, but admittedly, I used a Blue Yeti for this to record the results, which isn't the best. The Blue Yeti isn't really made for this. I just wanted to see if you could hear a difference, and you sort of can, but it's not hyper scientific. So I'm gonna share it with you, but take these results with a grain of sand and see if you can pick out the difference. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get on to the verdict. The Sound Blaster X7 USB DAC is an amazing jack of all trades. There are definitely USB DACs that can achieve these sound levels individually for much cheaper, but this is now MSRPing at $299.99, which is $200 cheaper than it was initially selling for, and that puts it in a very competitive place. There are USB DACs that can give you this level of headphone amplification. There are USB DACs that can give you this level of speaker amplification. There aren't any that can do both of those things and also have Bluetooth for your phone and also have all the control software like Scout Mode and stuff like that, and also have this degree of speaker connectivity options. So is it worth it? That's a difficult question because it basically comes down to how many of these features you're going to take advantage of. If you just need a DAC for your headphones, then this is probably not for you because it's a little pricey and there are definitely much cheaper options where your headphones are going to get this same level of quality. That said, if you want to use it for your headphones and you also want to use it for speakers, and you also want to be able to connect your phone to it, and you also want to be able to use Scout Mode, and you also want to be able to fine-tune the control of your speaker sound, all those audiophile details that a certain number of people really care about. This is a great product at a great price. It's competitive with certain AV receivers almost in terms of the number of features it has. So, keeping all that in mind, we are giving it an 8 out of 10. Now, to be fair, that might be a little generous, especially given the situation with the app. If the app really just won't work for certain people, that is going to almost eliminate its viability as a home entertainment center, which kind of sucks because it markets itself on being good for the Xbox One and the PS4, and generally as being the sound hub for your home entertainment system. If you can't have that degree of fine control, then it's just not worth it in that particular use case. If you want it for your PC, however, it's pretty fantastic. So why am I giving it an 8 out of 10 if there's this huge flaw in addition to this kind of plasticky build quality? And the answer is, I like it. I've been using it for 2 weeks and I've been having a ton of fun with it. I've been experimenting with all different sorts of speaker setups and stuff like that, and I'm having a great time. I went down to Goodwill and I picked up these 2 passive Yamaha speakers for $15. I plugged them into it and now my desktop sounds 10 times better than it did before. This is honestly probably going to be my permanent setup from now on. So $300 to achieve that, or $315 in my case, is pretty amazing in that regard. So I'm having a hard time giving it a lower score. Why don't you go ahead and jump into the comments and let me know whether or not you feel like that's fair. All right, that's gonna do it for us today though. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't already. I believe this is our 6th video, so that interaction is really going to help us build the channel and make more content like this. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and leave a comment for us and let us know what's one feature that you need in an audio hub. What's one thing where you wouldn't even consider an audio hub if it doesn't have it? And let us know whether or not the Sound Blaster X7 checks all those boxes. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.